Hello, people. This is the Seattle Overload podcast, where we're going to look at the Seattle Seahawks offense tape. I've got a double espresso. Griff has a double espresso in mind.
Waiting for me tomorrow morning.
Nice. When people conventionally drink coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And it is technically the morning here, to be fair.
Yeah, it is. The
Right.
wee hours of the morning.
Mm-hmm. The wee hours.
Mm-hmm.
As though you were Scottish, which actually no.
Wait, is wee, is that predominantly a Scottish descriptor
Are
adjective?
you messing with me?
No. I just assumed like that was a generalized thing over there. Like wee lad or whatever. Is that like predominant? I don't know this. I'm asking for real. Is that like a word that is only used in Scotland for the most part?
Right. Yes, it is only used really in Scotland.
Oh, that's very cool.
And someone's tail is very excited about
Um, yeah, my dogs. I had to break up a fight between them earlier. Between my two, I have three dogs. Between my two male dogs, Miles and Brady.
that. Nice. Was it like a dog eat dog type thing?
You know, they got it became a who shot first thing, and then like they weren't even that upset, but I think one took major offense to the other, and they were really going at it. Miles drew blood a little bit on Brady, like
Oh,
near on his cheek. So it was actually got a little. They're not like that usually, hardly ever. So I like literally had to get my body in between them, and I grabbed Miles by the scruff of his neck and like pried him off of Brady. And Brady didn't want to like really give it to him. He could have because he's got like 15 pounds on him. And then after that, Brady was like, his feelings were hurt. He was like crying in the corner, like he was fine.
as
But
an
he was,
experienced dog owner, how do you react in situations like that?
well, at first I intervene as quickly as possible, and so I literally just like get my hand in there. I can stick my hand near their mouths, and they wouldn't. They like shut down immediately. Now I don't know if that could be true for all breeds or all dogs of all backgrounds, but because
Probably not, unless
well,
you have very special hands.
in this case, I know my dogs well enough that if anything were to happen to my hand, it would be on accident, like air. It wouldn't be like
Mm-hmm.
aggression turned on me. So I did that, like immediately stopped, but they kept wanting to like snarl at each other. So I had to literally, like I said, grab Miles by the scruff of his neck and pull him off. And then I had them go in separate rooms for them to calm down. And then I called them both down to me and gave them a treat. Had them sit, and I gave them a couple more like commands rather. Like had them like stay, like just to like make them lock in. Like, yo, you got to listen to me now and take attention off of each other. And then they simmered down. They went on my bed, and they were happy goes it right now. Um, but yeah, no, it's not fun when that happens. It happens so rarely. Like that's the second time they've ever had it for real.
Bit grouchy.
Yeah, and they're not aggressive. They're not dog aggressive
No.
outside of like in general or human aggressive. It's just I don't know what was going on. I think they just got possessive over like a toy or something.
Well, to be fair, if it was a good toy,
It
can you
was a
blame
good
them?
toy. It's one of their favorites that they normally have no issue sharing.
Could you
Um,
solve this issue by buying them two toys, or would that be rewarding their behavior?
no, that would be a good preemptive measure. Remove the
What toy are we talking about here?
it's a bone.
A bone? Yeah.
Yeah,
If I was a dog
a nylon
and I
bone.
was going to fight like my friend, I'd definitely fight over the bone toy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm glad you've sorted that. I'm proud of
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Have you had any animal fights
Well, it
recently?
reminded me, not recently, but once when I was younger, I had two guinea pigs and a rabbit,
Hmm.
and we were pretty new to all of that fun stuff. And we put the rabbit with the guinea pigs, and somehow one of the guinea pigs ended up with a rabbit-sized hole in their ear, as in
Wow.
rabbit tooth-sized hole. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That's crazy town.
a carnivore
Do you
rabbit.
think do you think they got into a fight?
I guess. Yeah,
Interesting.
we never put them together after that because that was
Yeah.
a bit like, what? How on earth?
That was probably a good intervening choice.
But I didn't think rabbits would. I wonder what happened. Very unusual.
Yeah. Maddie, does it intrigue you at all that Cody Barton's having a good game on the national stage?
We should talk about that in the podcast.
Should we? So that was a good
Hell yeah.
topic.
No. That's a full on podcast topic. Just like a quick, an after amble.
Okay. Real quick though, before we go live, are you watching Agatha all along on Disney Plus?
No, is it about Agatha Christie?
No, it's about Agatha Harkness.
Oh, cool.
You know, common foil to the Scarlet Witch. It's actually like really good, like Halloween type.
Nice.
You know,
Do
I'm enjoying it. It's a romp. It's a fun.
nice.
Romp.
That's cool. I imagine that it's quite popular. Is that what the kids are watching right now?
I don't know. I don't know what the demographic.
Because it came out for Halloween, though, they can go, watch that, go trick or treating, and dress up maybe as the characters.
Yeah. All right, hit it, Maddie.
As Griffin yawns, welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast, where it's time for part 2 of our tape show. Yep, Thursday Night Football. We're looking at that still. It gives us the opportunity to break it into a defense and offense. Part 1 was defense. Make sure you check that out, listener, viewer. We are live on YouTube, where we looked at the Seahawks defense. But now, offense, big topics. We got Geno Smith. We got DK Metcalf. We've got Ryan Grubb. We've got a struggling run game. And data and quotes. Maybe even some Scott Huff offensive line coach talk, which when you talk about an offensive line coach, particularly when it comes to the Seahawks, but just in general, it's rarely for good reasons. So we'll dive into all those topics. We have listener questions. Please keep them coming, guys. I've starred them, so I will try and refer back to them unless we get massively spammed. And also, we appreciate you spending your time with us tonight rather than watching Thursday Night Football, where a certain Cody Barton is having a spectacular game in the bright lights of the Mercedes-Benz Superdome.
Maddie, why can't you move on? Just move on. It's in the past.
Do the Saints still play in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome? Probably not, right? Given that Atlanta play in a Mercedes-Benz dome.
I don't know. Maybe. I missed the question. Do they still play in the Mercedes-Benz
Superdome? Yeah.
Isn't that the name of where the Falcons play?
But I thought the Saints definitely used to play in the Mercedes-Benz one.
I don't have the brain
You
power.
don't seem that interested in this.
I drink too much sleepy time tea to have anything in my brain.
What? Why would you have sleepy time tea before the show?
I thought, I drink caffeine a little too late in the afternoon.
Okay, Jay, I'm
counteract.
contractually obliged, Jay, to not call it that.
Are you really?
Yeah.
You
Straight
can't.
up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
It'd be very bad. Anyway, yeah, Cody Barton, funny, huh? Like, he's a good to average linebacker, and his fault / how hard ball fitting is kind of left him as a bad part of the narrative, even though, as we've seen this season, ball fitting, even with a more talented defensive line who's playing well, is very difficult on a linebacker.
I will say that this season should recontextualize how we view that 2022 roster.
That's a nice way of saying it.
2022.
Yeah.
I was told, no, I'm not going to do that. We had this idea that, oh man, these players just kind of suck now, or they all regressed. Poona Ford, Quentin Jefferson. Poona Ford's balling out right now. I think it's
Chat, what do you think Griff thought?
Oh, can you hear me? Am I back?
You're back. You said, I think you were saying recontextualize. It was very succinct. And then you said, I think it, after mentioning Poona Ford and Quentin Jefferson.
But it placed, thank you. It placed so much stress on that unit that it's hard to play well in it, but you can take that a step further and say what they based out of that year in 2022, they are defending even worse in this year. The difference is they're not using that scheme as well. They're not using that similar mode of fitting the run as frequently. But if you isolate that way of doing it, they're even worse this year than they were in 2022. So I don't know, strange stuff. But to me, the take home is like it's hard to fit the run out of too high, man. When you're asking the linebackers to fit off of two gapping defensive linemen and or being outgapped in general. It's just tough. It's not easy. It's not sustainable. But anyway.
It's not easy. It's not sustainable. It's very difficult. And not only was they asking them to do tough things, but that was a complete mess because they tried to go full Fangio and then had to kind of go back on it because it was really bad and
the front
not being coached well. And yeah, that was you kind of almost need to give a buy or a par. There's a better term for that. But to those players, as you were saying, Griff, they just, yeah. And the front office's evaluation of said players and decision to move on from said players is not looking too great in 2 years' time. And they were guys that oftentimes, like a Cody Barton or a Poona Ford, the front office liked coming out in the draft. And it's almost... And we've spoke about this a bit on the podcast, definitely off air, but the passing of scheme for general manager / scouts / executives and the impact of scheme, that gets sometimes lost in the weeds. And that's also can be the fault of coaches because they have to translate their usage of players and what they're asking players to do to a guy or gal who is of the mind of a traits executive type, and they're not really thinking like a coach. So there you go. Anyway. Oh, Jay, this is why we're live. So there's Seahawks news to talk about here. This is quite the acquisition. The Seahawks made a trade, Griff. The first trade of the NFL, well, I don't know what you call it, regular season.
Yep.
It was since overshadowed by Devontae Adams getting traded. But regardless, they acquired Roy Robertson Harris for a 6th round pick in the 2025 draft. Defensive tackle / kind of D end. I liked what I saw from Harris. He's 31 years old. I watched him in 2022 because I watched the Jags defense a fair bit that year, which is when they were still more of a 3-4, but we can get into that. That's a topic. Obviously, he came from the Bears where they were in the Fangio system, and he has that ability to play like a two-gapping type end and mirror step and strike a tackle and do some crazy stuff. Mike McDonald described it as kind of a depth addition on the interior of the line. It's interesting the Seahawks decided to make this happen when they did. I don't think the interior of the D-line was a problem per se. I do think we saw, particularly in that third game, the veteran Jonathan Hankins not wear down but look a bit patchy. He had some great plays still, but he also looked like a vet who'd just played 3 games in 11 days. and I'm not saying Harris will be, double-barreled Roberts and Harris. I don't think he's going to be the nose, but what this allows you to do is put Jaron Reed at nose and Harris play where Reed does and just play with more rotations. Griff, your thoughts on this?
No, I agree with you. I think that there really isn't a lot of commentary in this move. It's just more like the Jags were talking about them having culture issues and maybe they're trying to send a message, et cetera, all that stuff. It was a 6th-round pick 2 drafts from now. So I'm sure from Seattle's perspective, it's like, okay, sure. And they've clearly have been talking all off each other with the Travis Gibson trade and then the Devin Lloyd rumor. So it's obvious that they have a good working relationship, Schneider and Bulky do at the moment. And it was like, hey, John, will you get this guy off our hands? And he's like, yeah, sure. And then, like you said, it's not a need for Seattle, but it's more like we could use him type of thing. D-line is far, far away a problem for Seattle. It's the best unit of their defense probably. But with the injuries right now and, not really knowing what the status is there long term, it's like you said, it can free up the other versatile guys. Jaron Reed, Byron Murphy are both 1 technique, 0 technique, 3 technique, flexible guys that allows them to keep them in at nose to relieve Hankins, who you don't want playing too many snaps because that's when his play starts to degrade a little bit. So Robertson being that 3 technique, 4-eye, maybe some 5 kind of guy, just allows you to mix and match your body types more.
Yeah, that's what stands out to me too. Obviously, the Seahawks run that base front where both the edges are playing like 5 techs, and one may play a 5, one may play a 4-eye. Harris can do that 3-4, like old school type end stuff too. The contract also from a Seahawks perspective shows how quick the NFL develops in that it was just February of last year that he inked a 3-year, $21.6 million contract extension with the Jags. But as can happen with the way these contracts are structured, Roberts and Harris is on the books this season for just $1.4 million, and he has left. It's easy to get out of, basically, for Seattle if they don't like what they see from him. So cool. Right. He excuse.
Gosh, I tell you what, guys. Don't drink sleepy time tea and go on a podcast because it will make you yawn a lot. And then also don't swallow wrong like Matty did because it will tickle your epiglottis and make you cough.
I think the issue was like the coffee had a bit of, there was like some grains at the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Been there.
That's no good. Anyhow, I'm back and yeah, I think he was also a captain once upon a time in Jacksonville, and murmurings that things behind the scenes, as can happen on bad teams, we're not going very well. So, yeah, we'll have to see how he fits in the locker room.
Right.
Okay, Griffin, the Seahawks offense.
Yeah.
We watched the tape from this 49ers game on Thursday. What's your lasting impression from this?
I came away encouraged as far as what it means moving forward or what it projects to. I don't characterize that game necessarily as a good, say, play calling game from Grubb, but I think that he's trying to finally seed the structure or plant the seeds of structure that he wants to live in. And I don't just mean like rates here and there, but like the formations and then the permutations off of each formation, off of the same look, so that he can layer in more offense in a way that really makes the defense work for it, have to think a little bit. It was principle that I think is kind of what I'm getting at. And I wish he had started this earlier in the season with a more focused plan instead of this being a reaction to just overtly, deep drop, high pass frequency to the point of it being beyond what makes sense. earlier on, because now it feels like he's playing catch up and he's cramming almost. Like they had a 30% early down pass rate this game. Like that's insane. So, but of what he did run, it's like it's not the runs of themselves. It's how he's setting things up. Like, all right, ball's on the hash. I could either run zone to the boundary, or I could run duo to the field, or I could pull to the field. He's got all these different, or I could pull to the boundary as well. Like you can see all the different combinations there, and then how he could play action off of that. And then you take that and you mix it with his ability to shift into gun out of the same personnel. Like, oh, now I can spread you out. So if you actually take his under center run defense seriously, or his under center run offense seriously, the defense does. You get under center defense, then he can shift in motion into more spread gun looks, and then he can get his matchups there. So I think that's how he can kind of bridge what he wants to do in the drop back game with under center affecting personal. That's something that last year the Seahawks relied on a lot. That was absent until this past week. So hopefully moving forward, we see more of that. What did you think? Now, that said, the execution, the actual coaching, the details, I think, Matty, that's what you're going to talk about a lot of. A lot seemed lacking. So that's the other side of it from the coaching staff. But Matty, what did you see?
Well, it did feel more balanced, and I think part of that is just the 49ers and their style of defense, and they give away certain things, and they kind of rely on their pass rush to make up for it. And part of that was maybe the more layering in of a run game. But as you said, it felt quite heavy-handed. And what really stands out to me is, and I like giving Grubb the benefit of the doubt in that, he's established a clear pass first tendency. But, as you say, that kind of cramming, it feels like cramming, and it feels like they're playing catch-up with the run game. And if you look at the run game now, there's a very much an element of it, and we've got this as one of our key topics to look at tonight, but it's very much an element to the run game of, we need to run the ball well, but these guys just don't know how to do it. Like, there's very basic stuff like combo blocks, just the chemistry between the offensive line, which I think can only come with reps. I'm not talking establish the run type narrative here, but I'm talking, it looked very much like an O-line who for the, past however many weeks had barely run block in live action. They really struggled, and some of it I didn't like the concepts, some of it was just bad execution, but that's troubling to me. So in a way, I kind of give the O-line a pass for that, because that's also the play caller's fault. But then there's some things where I'm like, ooh, it's a bit troubling. But I don't want to get too bogged down in that negative, because the pass game stuff, like after first very quick watch through where I basically ignored most of the run plays, but I just rapidly watched it through like immediately after the game on the All-22 when it came out, which is what I tried to do just to get a brief kind of sense of, was that as bad as it looked, or was that as good as it looked? I came away very optimistic about, there's, a better blend of pass concepts in terms of deep, intermediate, play action, even quick game, and formations, under center, gun. Still no pistol, but, you get the idea. There's a cool way of using DK, and all that they're accessing different areas of the field more. So I felt really optimistic about that. But then when you dive in deeper and you watch the run game, you're like, oof, this is bad. And then, the offensive line is a thing. So basically, that's why our lasting impression being kind of up and down is exactly why we have these topics, which are, and chat, if you're in the chat now, let me know as I read these out what you want to see first, and you can pick your own adventure. So we've got run game, offensive line, which is slightly different because the O-line's more pass pro stuff, DK Metcalf, or Geno Smith. And while you're letting me know that, or letting us know that, Griff,
Matty,
You have some numbers on the offense,
I have numbers on
which
the offense.
which suggest that they're not nearly as good as they were last year.
Yeah, I mean they're not. They are. I mean, statistically, they're a regressed unit from last year. Even the first half of the season, if we compare apples to apples, they're worse at this point through 6 games than they were through 6 games last year. The 49ers game really wasn't that bad statistically. I mean, they had like an average day compared to other teams this past week. But like again, this offense is very potent. It's, like again, its sword is sharp. It's just Grubb is trying to find out what he wants to be and what I think. I know this is like very wishy-washy language and speaking in such broad strokes. It's like get to the point. I get it, but I just see a coordinator who has all these great ideas, has great sections of offense, and he's not able to optimize all of it, synthesize it together, and get it all flowing into from one area to the next. It's very siloed. It's very bucketed. It's like, all right, here's this piece of the offense, that part of the offense. So he just needs to tie it all together, really, and I think he's getting there. Like I think he's finally getting there. I think they're about to enter a stage of being what they want to be finally, and hopefully this time next month we can say like, oh, they're such a more well put together offense because there's so much potential in this group, right? So much potential. Also, individual players we want to see play sharper. I think that's the word. Like DK, I know there's some concerns there. The word that I think of with DK is like just play sharper. You don't need to be echelons better. You just need to like dial in a little bit, play your game. And Grubb's that's on Grubb. Like in my opinion, he's not using DK in an ideal sense. There's some new things that are really cool, but there's also like he's elected to kind of throw out some elements of DK's game that just get you like easy yardage with him. Like when he's aligned outside and the corner's off, they would just throw an 8-yard hitch and collect their 8 yards. And occasionally he might break a tackle and get 3 more, right?
Well, he did that in week 1 though.
There was a little bit of it, but it's not like a principle of put DK on the boundary or what's the corner doing? If he's pressed, throw the outside release go. That's not in the offense. If he's off,
I thought it was like the first 2 weeks, but I don't know.
Maybe I need to rewatch, but that was
because I remember us just saying like he's picking on defender leverage really well, and like DK's getting targeted the ball if he's 1-on-1 and that type of stuff.
I feel like since then we're seeing more. They're trying to work more inbreakers with him, which I get the reasoning, but I think they're overdoing it.
It's kind of like a balance of stuff again.
Exactly, and I think that's the thing with Grubb is that he sees something, and even if it's there, which it often is,
right?
I think he spends too much time working
that. So that is a big thing, and that's a fine art as well. Because if you keep calling the same type of concept and it keeps working, they can't stop it. That is a massive. You're like, what? Wow! Why don't all OCs do that? Brilliant, big praise. But it's almost Grubb can't quit a concept if it's there, and it doesn't get there for a reason. Like in this game, he was obsessed with calling switch verts. Like it's like that's bloody great, mate. Keep trying it, but we can't protect it. And Stone Forsyth's 1-on-1 with Bosa the whole game. Maybe we should probably not do that anymore. Every game there's been like 1 or 2 concepts where he's tried to persist with it and he's just it's not perhaps popped in the way that it should have. It might have been there on the tape, but he hasn't been able to get it, and that must be infuriating as a coach. But I think part of the skill as a coach is understanding what is possible in game and adapting from there. But that's a very easy kind of results-based critique, and yeah, I don't want to be too harsh. Right, so Jay in the chat requested DK Metcalf and Jay did remind us about Roy Robertson Harris, or have I got that mixed up? Anyway, Jay, congratulations. Here is DK Metcalf stuff. Before that, Griff, we didn't actually talk about this much. I think in the post-game podcast we were kind of stunned, but with DK, like body language-wise, how did you feel about that in this game? Because watching the tape is not as bad as when the camera like focuses on him slumping on the bench. I know Lenore, their cornerback, was saying about how DK Metcalf was talking so much in the game and didn't do much. Of course, he had the big play comeback because Walker couldn't get set, which would have completely changed his stat line and I think how his game's being perceived. But yeah, DK body language, and as Lou Incredible MJ mentions in the chat, getting yelled at over the phone.
I mean, I don't give a shit if DK wants to yell at his boss through a microphone in a crowded stadium. I mean, they're in the heat of the battle. You know, I know that one of the most eye-rolling things that people do in football as fans or people in the game or in the sport itself, coaches equate the football to like war. But you know, like that classic movie trope where the Sarge is like, it's not the sergeant, the Sarge, right? With the cigar in his mouth, is cussing out his commanding officer through the headset, overruling him in the heat of the battle or whatever. My point there is like, we have to assume, I'm going to assume that there's trust between Grubb and DK, and like they can speak that way to each other in the middle of a game, especially when the game is not going the way they want it to go. I mean, they're all coming from the right place. So if it becomes a repeated thing, like, okay, yeah, maybe there's friction.
Well, I think people, to play devil's advocate here, people would say this is a repeated thing because we've seen Metcalf exhibit frustration and body language like this before.
Yeah, but like, who cares? So long as he's not getting penalties.
Now,
like, I just don't care personally.
The context, yeah, that's the other thing. Like, it's not like DK had a penalty in this game, which is stupid. Just trying to think. Yeah, that is correct. The other thing is, and is the other aspect of football, he got kind of drilled on a play where the safety's playing stupid aggressive, and Geno tries to thread it in or look at it, and he kind of gets whacked. So there's a kind of physical side to football where these guys are out in the field, as everyone knows, and they're getting hit. And I think what he was lip reading experts say is what he was saying to Grubb was something about throwing at the sticks, right? That happened just after that play, and there was another play as well. And it's like the safety is playing so shallow and just not respecting DK Metcalf deep. And it's I can see his point. Like, okay, out of the heat of battle, would you perhaps communicate that slightly differently? Be like, hey, coach, I see an opportunity deep. Yes, but you're in, you're getting whacked around, and you want to convey your point. I really don't think that's that big a deal. But of course, in prime time, everything gets magnified. And like I said, if DK catches that, if DK's touchdown catch stands, people, I don't even know if they're talking about it. But Griff, it is interesting how the team flagship radio station persists with talk over DK Metcalf, and the example to return to is they've done this before in terms of trades when it comes to defensive tackle, right?
Right. Yeah, when you see that, you have to ask, why would a radio station be doing that? I mean, one, yeah, it drives engagement. And
right, DK's a popular player.
The industry is, I'm not going to fault them for that. The industry is built off of people listening so you can get ad revenue. So, like, I'm not going to be like, yeah, you got to. But at the same time, they take directions. They're going to sensationalize, okay? But I would pay attention to who they choose to sensationalize versus who they don't. You could just, if you wanted to get trade buzz going just because you want engagement, it would make a lot of sense to be like, Tyler Lockett's aging, get value before he's gone, but there's not a word about Tyler Lockett. Like in my mind, I'm thinking if I knew nothing, I would be saying the Chiefs need a receiver. They need a receiver they can trust. Tyler Lockett is only getting older. The Seahawks can only recoup value, et cetera, et cetera. Do it a year early but instead of a year late, et cetera, right? The fact that they keep talking about DK, I think there's a kernel of truth there. That doesn't mean there's anything real, but I do believe that there's something there that doesn't even mean it's driven by Seattle. It could be driven by other teams. Would it shock anyone to hear that other GMs might have called Schneider about DK Metcalf? Like that wouldn't like that on its face. That makes sense. Like who wouldn't? He's DK Metcalf. He has a contract extension coming up. We know that the receiver trade market is heating up. It was hot last year. It's hot this year. Mm-hmm. So his name probably has come up. So that's all I'll say about that. I don't think he gets traded. I think if he were, it'd probably be during the offseason anyway, but I don't think it's happening. But I guess it's something that it would be prudent to just, I don't know, keep our ears open with.
And statistically, Griff, this is a down year so far for DK Metcalf. Not necessarily in the raw receiving yardage, although this past game would have hurt him, but in the more advanced metrics.
Yeah, he is having analytically, he's having one of the worst seasons of his career. Yeah.
Whoa.
I don't know if that really matches the tape in this. Well, in the sense
I don't think it does.
In the sense that you can separate a player's stats from what they're actually doing on the field. That doesn't mean the stats aren't real.
Yeah.
But his EPA per target is at a career low. Now that's probably skewed by the turnovers, right?
Yeah, of course, the fumbles.
What I more worry about is that his average depth of catch is way down on the same depths of target. So there's a gap between his ADOT and his ADOC.
Oh dear.
And then his success rate is like 45%, which is a career low by like 5% for him.
Goodness.
So, and then also the other stat, which probably the stat I'm about to say feeds their stats I just mentioned, his on-target catch percentage. So of his targets that are on target, he's only reeling in 80% of those, and normally he's at 90%. And also that figure of like 66 qualifying receivers, that's bottom 10 of those 66. So of the high volume receivers, on a per target basis, he's one of the least efficient receivers in the league right now. Again, 6 games is not a super big sample size for that. The interceptions are skewing it. He did get kind of beat up a little bit in the 49ers game at the catch point. So I don't know. Yeah. I would just write it out and expect it to get better and things to normalize.
Yeah.
Is my view.
Seems like we have similar conversations around Metcalf in his game almost every season. Maybe we need to... Well, I think the fan base, or maybe that's harsh to generalize the whole fan base. Sections of the fan base need to recalibrate expectations of DK, but
he's not Terrell Owens, he's not Calvin Johnson.
But then he may get paid quite a lot of money, and it's a discussion. Yeah. Anyhow, let's look at his struggles in this game. I think it's important to remember, like after the first 2 weeks, I was saying he's on pace for like 1,500 receiving yards, which he was. Obviously, after 2 games is not the best way to look at these things. So this is the first struggle. You'll also see some other issues here. So this is the switch vert concept that Grubb kept trying to hit. It's a good concept, but the problem is protecting for it. So you're going to see a protection issue for the Seahawks. So currently we have DK Metcalf up here, a big spread formation. Grubb loves using these spread looks, which, why does he love that? Well, just spacing wise, it's nice. You can stress the defense quickly. it makes the picture quite clear on the quarterback. You can get light box counts in the run game, which should benefit and did at times in this game. So you see all this is DK running here and then Fant running here, Lockett running here, and then mystery receiver, which is probably JSN, running here. Why is it effective against the 49ers? Well, they're playing, I believe, cover 4 on this side of the field, so deep quarter. This corner against this type of release is most likely to, especially if had a 49ers play, zone turn and look inwards here and pick up the wheel. Meanwhile, this safety here is picking up DK Metcalf. With the play action holding the linebacker, you're going to create a big void in this area here, particularly if the linebacker's ruled to be primarily looking at this number 2 receiver. And so here we have this big hole. Now, Griff, they keep trying elements of the offense where DK throttles down and then, because there's a definite hole here, right? And then goes down here. And this safety in particular, I believe that's number 30, was super aggressive. There was a number of missed opportunities for a variety of reasons that Seattle was unable to capitalize on, but they were there. So DK gets the safety opening up and the ball's underthrown. Now we'll get into why the ball's underthrown, but this is the type of catch that I was hoping DK would be able to make. I think that's fair, right? Is that a realistic expectation?
You want to see him bring in these on occasion. I mean, you're not going to bring in every one, but I mean, he's work back to the ball, square your shoulders up, and high point it. Like, I know
it's just a ball tracking thing, right? Like, he doesn't see really that it's underthrown until very late.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if Lockett would. It's very hard to resist that temptation of just running down because you've got a touchdown if it's thrown properly.
Right. Now, JSN, actually, I think he would have the presence of mind to track this right to where he'd be in a position to high point it, because as in he'd throttle down sooner. Now, that said, are we going to see JSN on these types of routes all the time? Not really. But I would like to see them mix it up. Who's running that dig and go option, or that dig and go read rather?
Tyler Lockett would be the best receiver for this, in my opinion. Like, this is what he excels at. Yeah, he can track the football. I mean, can he get a guy to throttle down? Probably not. And why they love this with DK is because, I mean, he's known as that type of guy as well. And they've been running that in this game. But he also has that obvious speed down there. Yeah. Griff, I did think, though, that DK had kind of got over this element. Because
Matty,
what are you laughing at?
I guess you just got a pick 6.
Oh, well, he is a coverage linebacker, so...
He would have had a second pick earlier in the game, too. Oh, my God. That's so funny.
What type of pick was it?
I'm watching it right now. I hope it was a real pick and not just like bullshit, because so many linebacker interceptions are just bullshit.
I hope he was roboting the final three.
Bullshit. He's on a blitz, he gets sacked, and then Cody just scoops it up before it hits the ground.
That's funny.
That's
well. Yeah, so anyway, this is the type of catch that I was hoping. You know, Metcalf had said he worked in the off-season. We were seeing that kind of pay off. This isn't the same type of contested catch. Like, he's wide open. It's sort of coming back to the football. But he is trying to wait for that ball. Honestly, the defender makes a pretty good recovery. Is 30 Mustafa? I don't think it is it? It's too short a name, and it's too different a profile. Do you know who 30 is?
30. No.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
But obviously the football's underthrown not because Geno Smith's lost his mind, but the pass pro has a tough time of it. Just the text game between Givens and Bosa, tackle end exchange, and unfortunately Bradford and Forsyth have some difficulty passing this one off. I don't really know what the point of Walker is here. Like, he's like in two minds of whether he needs to hit Bosa or not. Kind of does nothing. But yeah, that's no good. So, and I don't want to beat up too much on this right side of the line. Like, Bradford was a 4th round pick for a reason. He has struggled in the NFL, and Forsyth is a 3rd string right tackle for a reason. Like, in my opinion, leaving them 1-on-1 with these two is difficult.
Yeah.
And it happened a lot in this game. Williams, for whatever reason, was sliding too close.
Why feel the need to? Yeah.
But yeah, Griff, what do you think of Walker here? I don't understand. Like, what's the point of him?
It's a check and release.
But it's not. That's not a check. Just whack the guy if you're gonna check.
I think he doesn't know what to do because of the inside move.
Yeah, he doesn't know what to do. Which again, coaching details, etc., etc.
Right, but also
that has to come up.
Between Geno and Connor, who's setting the protection there?
Well, from what I've observed, it appears to me that Connor Williams is doing a fair bit of the protection stuff, but I could be wrong. Because when they look to the sideline to those green men, like Griff, the receivers get the play and Geno gets the play, so who's doing the protection? Geno does sometimes call stuff out, I guess. But, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess Connor Williams doesn't look to the sideline, so maybe Geno is doing the protection as well. But I haven't heard him call a mic point or anything, have you?
Not that I know of.
Not to say he can't do that, but... Okay. Right. Now here's the touchdown, which was not. The 3rd and 2. This will also bring us nicely to a different topic. Griff, is this a play that DK Metcalf should make, or is this just not enough space? I mean, he's a tall guy.
Game of inches and all that, right? How many times how many times have we seen in the NFL a receiver catch the ball where he doesn't get the toes in? So I feel like it's that's just tough. For me, it's like shit happens. Like, I maybe turn to the ball a little bit more and not try to catch it overhanded so that he can.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think the most capable catches in this situation would tap with the right toe and then try and fall rather than like 2-foot stomp.
Yeah, because his feet are like Tyler, he would be landing with it Tyler would be landing like a ballerina, right, with his toes
right,
on the
and
ground,
he's obviously
right?
shorter, which helps. But yeah.
I think it's just a tough one.
I just felt this whole series where the 49ers just kept playing man and the Seahawks kept trying a variety of man beaters and couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
It's quite embarrassing.
Real quick though, Nugash, there are definitely plays here where DK loses reps that are not pretty. Like, I'm just saying for this one, I'm not going to fault him too much. The fact that he actually connects with the ball is like half the battle with him. So it's the other. He definitely had some rough reps this game. I thought he dealt with the contact here really well.
Yep. And cool concept from Grubb of trying to pick and giving DK that free release against man-to-man. I don't love how JSN runs into Noah Fant's route, but I guess it's like an option for Fant.
Yeah.
Anyway, Drift, real quick on this subject. This obviously brought up 4th and goal, and it's another thing we forgot to mention in the post-game show. Seattle ended up making it 16-3 rather than going for it on 4th and 2. We're going to look at the run game a bit later, And having looked at it, I can see why they didn't have faith necessarily in the run game to get it done from the 2-yard line. That being said, how disappointed were you in their decision not to go for it, even with that context on 4th and goal and, trying 3 times to beat the 49ers goal line man coverage and not being able to get it done?
I got to be consistent. I don't really care. Like either way, like I'm not being snide. I just don't really care about 4th down decisions. Probably I think you should go for it. That was always what I said with Pete. It was you should go for it, but I don't really care. I don't know. Maybe I just don't understand probabilities enough. I feel I am hard pressed to leave 3 points on the field because how many games come down to 3 points? But then again, like I know, like it's worth the chance at an extra 4. So I'd probably err on the side of going for it, but I'm not going to lead the charge of being the leading voice and saying they don't go for it enough. I'll leave that to other people. What do you think though, Matty? Like
I was annoyed. I was just like, look, this game's a mess. What good does 3 points do? You've made a 2-score game a 2-score game. It's the one drive you've had. Finish it. You had them beat on 2 of these 3 goal line plays. DK just couldn't tap his feet down, and Lockett got bumped as Geno threw the ball, which a second, well, not even a second, a moment longer, and Geno completes that pass. I just felt McDonald also had been aggressive as a coach previously. Why is he suddenly changing? I get motivation-wise, having points on the board, as Noigash mentions in the chat, is like maybe a thing, but also, come on now.
Yeah.
Though, having, paused and reflected, and as I said, seen the run game was so bad that you are very one-dimensional. You could not trust your run game to get 2 yards, so that actually kind of sucks. So,
right.
All right, final DK play. The hot topic, which some people then saw as an opportunity to just clown on Geno Smith, which I, in the moment, felt this was a tick late from Geno, but having reflected on it, I think there's a reason why. And DK Metcalf's taken complete game blame for this. It's so obvious here that Metcalf doesn't do the correct thing. So, first of all, shift from Seattle. Why did they do that? Well, if we're shifting our slot receiver and we're in 11 personnel as the tight end, the nickel traveling with it can tell us a few things. So we get a clear kind of zone coverage contour from the 49ers and how they set their front and how they shift with this. And this is, it's been broken down well by people in the national sphere, which is encouraging. I actually thought Kirk Herbstreit on the broadcast did a great job in the moment of just saying DK drifted, which is what happened.
Yeah. So it's Y cross against quarters to his side. The backside is quarters, cover 2 at the bottom. And against quarters, backside of quarters, they have had the outside, or rather the backside dig runner, kind of convert to like a soft post almost, or rather a harsh post, I should say, a harsher angle. But they also have not done it that way. So it's hard to know exactly when. I think maybe the real problem here is the way it's coached to them. They don't seem to be exactly clear on when and when not to do it. Definitely, though. What? Do I think what?
You think that?
Sometimes they do it and sometimes they don't. But the way it does it still doesn't make sense, though. Even if it's supposed to.
My read on this is just DK trying too hard to make a play.
Okay, because like right here, he's making the choice to do it right here. It's you. This is not. He's not leveraging the corner well at all. If you're going to convert to a post, you don't jog into a post. It's a post. You're running for the end zone, right? Like
Yeah, it's just a very late, like lackadaisical
He
route. He's
goes
not
slow and
fast
then
off
he
the ball.
speeds up. It's like, dude, just run your route, catch the ball right on the hash.
My my opinion, first of all, is the play before this, and we're going to look at this in a second, is this play where DK catches the bubble, nice little play, nice chunk on first down, and it comes back for holding on AJ Barner, where you see the hands get outside the frame. It's the correct call. It's a tough block, but that's a hold. Okay, so then you're suddenly in first and 18. I think it's first and 20. Oh no, Bulls on the 17. Anyway, whatever. They're down by a score. DK's like, let's kill him here. We've got the play. I think he's frustrated, probably. Not to get too like mind ready about this. I think he's frustrated at that last play not happening. And I also think he sees he's aware Geno's obviously reading Y cross as you would this side to the other side. And I think when the ball's not out here and he feels this kind of presence, he starts thinking, hang on, we could have a, why don't I just try and make a touchdown here? The ball's still not out. I think he thinks the ball's going here, and the fact it doesn't go here.
It could have gone there, maybe, yeah. But
I think he thinks I've got a touchdown here. Let's make a touchdown happen, and Geno throws the ball at the wrong moment for what DK was trying. Obviously, I mean it's a silly thing to do, but it comes from a good place, and is my read of it, in that he's trying to make a play for the team in a positive way. It's just had a very negative outcome, and they have, like you said at the start, Griff, they have to be way sharp on this. Like,
right.
Geno reads this well, really well actually. It's there. The ball needs to come out because, unfortunately, again, this time Laken Tomlinson is struggling in pass protection. And it's just a gut-wrenching type play.
Yeah.
But I do hear what you're saying, though, on the rules for converting.
Regardless, though, even if that is what DK is trying to do, he's not doing that. It's a
terrible route.
Like, why does he slow down, then speed it? Like, it's like he's halfway between what he wants to do,
Yeah, but which also maybe he's trying to connect with Geno, like,
right,
kind of.
That's
transfer the idea.
So do you remember that big play that JSN caught, or no, that Lockett caught toward the end of the half of the Giants game that was on Y cross?
Yep.
And it was I think it was cover one. It was either cover one or cover three, but the deep middle safety was like well out of the area. And Lockett sees him, but he just bends it down anyway and runs the dig.
Mm-hmm.
I just run the dig here. I think they're trying to spice up Y cross way more than you need to. Just run a dig, throw the ball inside the hash. He could cut off the corner, and you've got DK screaming across the field, right? Then field safety. Whatever, man.
And I did feel Geno was slightly slow reading this out. I mean, he's ultimately having to wait for this guy to converge down on the back. But it's interesting that this wasn't given more of a. I guess the back is tight.
I think he's worried about Fred Warner.
Yeah.
To you, does he press the check down to move Fred?
Yeah, probably.
It seemed deliberate to me. So when they said he was late, I actually think he was very big.
No, I said he was late in the moment, but but now I've watched it back. I think it was pretty good.
I think he's playing the game within the game there, and he steps up, but then DK. Yeah, just unfortunate.
And honestly, the pass pro here is pretty good. They to the left hand side, they decide to lock on to like a very slow developing game, and they do an okay job. Like, you can work as an NFL quarterback in the pocket of stepping up here, particularly if you have more trust in your protection. And Geno does hitch up before throwing. Like, it's a really okay job he's done a full field read there, so, and been able to press his check down to move guys, so that's pretty good job from the pass pro. Also noteworthy because they slide the protection, and when we talk about sliding the protection, guys, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. This is the man side. This is the zone side. All right, so that's DK dealt with. Let's talk about Geno Smith. So, title on this video, it was Geno's birthday, but it wasn't his best night.
Matty, you're gonna ruin his birthday cake.
I mean, his birthday is over now. I'm sure well, I don't know. He might have had birthday cake. I hope he did. It's quite sad not having birthday cake on your birthday, right?
Yeah. I agree. What if he's not a cake guy? What if he's more of a pie man?
Oh, I think. Yeah. Okay. Maybe. Is that what Americans do? You have birthday pie?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Ugo Amadi sighting.
Oh, is that point in the game?
I love Ugo, bro. Ugo, I remember you. You're not forgotten.
Okay, great.
All right, Geno.
So this was an off night for Geno, particularly early in the game. This, of course, is the pick. They've got a clear man coverage indicator. The offensive line is going to show up as a theme here. Even with Forsyth and Bradford having just losing reps, this is a play that Geno at his best does well. I think he thought Lockett would bend like this more, and Lockett's bending like this because the post safety is here.
That makes sense.
But it's just not a good throw. It's high. He's not able to fully step into it. It's just not good.
Obviously, an errant throw, a bad throw from Geno. He's made throws like this year with the pressure, the protection picture looking like that and getting the throw off.
Yep.
But we've kind of have said this, like it's not sustainable. To consistent, and this is where we're seeing the other end of it. And he's a historically accurate thrower of the football. And so when a historically accurate thrower is starting to air passes out as pressure is mounting, it's very clear like what the root cause is. I'm not saying that to exonerate him. Like, yeah, superficially that's on Geno, but at the same time, it's like we want to see the protection improve because, I mean, is any quarterback really going to be being able to play close to their ceiling with this kind of protection? You're just not. You're not. I don't care who it is. However good that quarterback is, they're not going to be able to play at their ceiling with this level of protection. So you got to clean up the protection. Geno is bound to have a game like this with an O-line like this. Not every game can be the Dallas Cowboys game last year or the Lions game or the Patriots game where he's getting blown up and he's still getting throws off. For every three of those, one of these games. And this was it. So yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say about that. I do wonder your points, though, about the route details relative to the safety. I think as a team, they need to dial those in. And it was interesting that McDonald emphasized team interceptions. Like, yeah, of course, like quarterback can still control where he puts the ball, but I mean, you want both ends of it. You want there to be like we often say a feedback loop. You want there to be a positive feedback loop, not a negative feedback loop. When the receiver screws up, then the quarterback screws up. On top of that, they're going to reinforce each other negatively. We want one guy to be able to do his part so that the other guy in time, when he starts doing his part, they can help each other out. And we're not seeing a whole lot of that right now.
Yeah. So this was the play I was talking about earlier when I said DK came over to the sideline after this one. It's after they'd also broken up a stick concept where they're throwing at the sticks again, basically. This here, he gets, I mean, it's not drilled, but he has three guys over him. I understand Geno's decision here because the time is running out in the pocket. Bradford has a tough rep again. And, I mean, it's not a pick. There's a hole. He's thinking, guys, that they have this safety looking on this side, and so there's a hole here, which there kind of is, but this safety works back with the eyes of Geno. So.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's off Geno. I think this is more of a pass pro rep again.
I'm not sure though that this is a feature of the offense I'm a fan of.
What the curl routes into the zone. It's just is that what you meant?
Yeah, and we see a lot. I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to nitpick individual play calls. I mean, what this is it's a constraint call off of like 989,
Yeah.
right? Go. So I take that back. I do think it's because it's a right to left progression, or maybe it's a half field read progression.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder why he didn't think about throwing to the field because there'd be more space,
Yeah, I thought that too. Yeah.
or rather, yeah, to the field to Tyler's side.
All right.
But,
Right, let's get to the really like uncharacteristic stuff. So this is a 3rd and 9. They caught the 49ers offsides. This is just a weird miss. So there's Bosa jumping off. Okay, so what have we got coverage wise? Well, the 49ers are doing a lot of the game, which they cloud DK Metcalf, which a lot of teams will do, and then they're playing quarters over here. So quarter, half. Nice concept from Grubb. We saw a few more kind of
I like it a
wraps
lot.
over the top, which is perfect because where's the space in this coverage? Fred Warner, uncharacteristic this game, really jumping stuff here. And parts of that may have been how effective the pass rush was, and also Seattle had thrown sticks early, so maybe they'd established something there. But, you know, technically speaking, unless this nickel's supposed to carry, but he doesn't play like that, technically speaking, the final 3 is Warner's responsibility, and this should be a check down, which really the nickel is primarily responsible for. But anyway, this is here. It's probably because of the pressure, but it's a sailed opening from Geno.
Yeah.
Which usually he thrives hitting this stuff. You can see how the pocket is pretty brutal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he can't step into it.
Yeah,
It's like all upper body.
Yeah, you can see his feet there.
I mean, what on earth is this?
It's not good.
Maybe they didn't expect the snap because it's like Williams snaps it before everyone's ready because he saw Bosa offside and caught them.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably what it is. Anyway.
I like though. I like the play design, like you mentioned, but also off of the formation, because that's a formation they'll run gun inside zone off of a lot, and to just be able to like, make them think twice about it. I mean, the play design works, right? And that's where it's not play design; it's structure, it's formations, right, and tendency, giving any given play design more life. And that was my criticism early on in the early season with Grubb. It's like your post-snap design, the lines you draw on the page are really great. But I thought he was shooting himself in the foot a little bit by there really not being a cohesive structure. And again, like I think we saw that this game, I think that bodes well moving forward. We just want to see the execution catch up from all position groups.
Yep.
Including Geno. Like obviously this game, it wasn't his best executing game. So
the subsequent 3rd and 3, this was the biggest like bad play from Geno, I think. This is just poor. So they get clear man to man. Running back out wide. Here's a linebacker out there. We know it's man. They're not going to waste a DB or a safety on a running back most of the time. 99% of the time. So we know we got man-to-man. Look how they're all running across with it. They're even trying to figure out who's on the number 3. And Grubb calls a staple versus man, mesh, which separates against man. You can see Fant does a pretty good job of being the traffic. This guy has to go over the top, which this is the separation. He's in man-to-man. He's got to navigate around this. That's a really tough task. And this just screamed of just kind of sloppy from Geno, but also not trusting a pocket and not being able to comfortably step into that, even though he may have been able to, and just missing.
Yeah.
Which again, Geno at his best, even when the pocket's not there, he will be able to upper body some of these throws.
Yep.
It's just a frustrating one, and he knew he'd put too much on it as soon as he threw that. He's leaping, so not much more to say about that. Good play design. It's an opportunity missed.
Yep.
Final play, and it's another example of the switch verts type thing. Griff, how did you assess this one? And I say final play, guys. Don't worry, we've got more, but this is final pass for Geno. So they shift based off the look they get. You can see how it looks pretty obviously too high zone. See how they're looking for the sideline, which the Prime Vision guys did a good job of highlighting the guys in green. And they shift into the spread formation, and this time stacked, and it's switch verticals. This time they get cover 3. I was surprised. I mean, it shows the respect Geno has for Fred Warner, but I think on his day he throws that.
Think so. He could, yeah. I don't know.
I guess he can't step into the pocket.
That might be the pocket dies on him pretty quick.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting that he wanted to take off, though.
Well, I think that's the pocket, right?
Instead of trying to get the check down, but yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, I don't know if he knew where Walker was.
Could be.
That might be a details thing again. I mean, he did get the check down. Yeah. Anyway. Hey, Brandon, there was some under center play action, but they didn't seem to. It didn't seem to. Well, it was effective this game for hitting running back screens when the back didn't trip over Bosa. But in terms of the downfield stuff, they didn't seem to have the good plays in for how the 49ers are playing. All right, Griff, let's talk about this run game, because we've already seen some of the offensive line. I don't want to. I mean, this kind of blends into offensive line talk as well. The offensive line's bad, particularly on the right side. It's really bad. They need to probably help more. Wasn't there a stat that I mean, we read it out in the post-game show, but like basically Bosa was one-on-one with Forsyth way too much. He had 14 pressures in the game. It's not good. You game plan knowing he's the threat, and for him to go off like that, you clearly not done a very good job in your game plan. So, watching this run game, I was really shocked how bad they were, almost as though they're on a short week, which they are, obviously.
Yeah.
That obviously doesn't help. But the chemistry, there's a few things. The chemistry between the line looks wrong. Like, they just don't have any synchronicity between them. Particularly on the right side, where, again, you're putting Haynes in, you're putting Bradford in. You've got Forsyth, who wasn't expected to start and probably doesn't have as many reps with these guys. There's a lot of problems there, I think, as well, which relate to playing time. You don't run the ball that often, but they also didn't seem to have concepts which were good for how the 49ers play defense. So here you're going to see this guy scream through unblocked, and they're just trying to stick on their double teams for so long.
Yeah, they're not releasing to the second level.
Yeah.
And that's what you wonder about.
Is this inside zone?
No. It's duo. It's
So
duo.
then, what is the like? I know they're upset, or interested in Bosa, but if it's duo, you have to take care of the C gap, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the first guy Walker's going to be reading. Is that guy right there? Is going to be the front side backer. It's rare when
It's
you.
that guy, no?
Well, it's a 3-man box, so I mean, a three linebackers of the second level. I mean, I guess you're right. It's Warner and then it's that guy.
But
Yeah,
you're sort of you read this guy because you have the knowledge that this guy's getting blocked,
it
right?
would be Mike to Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First play of the game, but not a great start. Then next play, 2nd and 7. How did that get 3 yards? That's crazy. This is just the double team is not good
Like
on the nose
personnel
tackle.
wise. Okay.
Just they don't seem familiar with how they're supposed to handle that 2-eye alignment. And we should say the 49ers are really they're poor in run defense. They're the 30th ranked run defense. Let me get up the quote from Ryan Grubb, which just, I mean, it hits home even more now. I was bummed we didn't run the ball more obviously in the second half. We felt like we were going into the football game. The 49ers were, I think, 30th or something like that in the league in second half run defense. We knew there was going to be a bit of a softening process to get to that. And on the first drive, I was very optimistic about what we're going to be able to do. And first half, they're top 5 in the league against the run, so they're good at that. But we knew depth was an issue, and we could wear them down a little bit. We felt good going into it, and the second half felt good. Knew we were going to just be able to clean up a couple of the fits. We just obviously didn't get that done. I don't even think they got it done in the first half. Whatever he's saying about them being better in the first half run defense wise. But yeah, their style of defense is very quick and penetrative, and I don't know if have Seattle faced the defense like that on this schedule before this game. Aspects of Detroit, but not really.
Yeah, not well. The Patriots are active up front.
Yeah, and they got their asses kicked.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't great. Like,
I mean, on trying to reach a 2-eye against zone, the front side blocker needs to stay on the combo a little bit more, block back a little bit more.
Yeah, you to try and chip that.
Also, you're going to reach again the I guess this is the Will, not the Sam. The Will, who is look at his alignment. You got time. You got time. You can chill. You can relax. So it's
look how far he's bumped out here.
Yeah.
He's in like a.
So that's where you wonder about the coaching details. On the flip side, when you watch the Shanahan coached wide zone scheme and outside zone scheme, the front side guy always stays on as long as he should. If he needs to stay on long, he stays on long. Yeah. If he needs to flow and release immediately, he flows immediately. And that picture changes for them all the time. It's always relative to what the defense is doing. This seems very rehearsed. This seems very what the Seahawks are doing. This seems very predetermined and not flexible.
Yeah, we're gonna keep going. There's a lot here. Some of it just doesn't make sense. So this is, and it's so easy to criticize results. I'm not trying to do that here. It's more the ideas. So this is 2nd and 6. Again, it's an example of the details. So Tomlinson here is worried about this for some reason, and Bradford here is going here, and so who has this guy? Or Bradford's going here, so who has the Mike linebacker? Hello, Fred Warner. Yeah, so No, I don't know what they're doing here, Griff. It's like they don't understand with the motion, which again, moving parts makes it more difficult. The motion, again, like we saw in the previous example where the wheel bumped wider, he is not a guy who the guard or the guard should be concerned with anymore, right? He is, by all means, just if he makes the tackle, yeah. Now, maybe Tomlinson expected Walker to press like this, but then Bradford should be getting this guy, no? To leave the mic unblocked is like, look at Tomlinson here. He's thinking he is sealing the cutback, and Bradford's going front side.
Right.
Leaving the mic unblocked is an odd choice. It just doesn't make sense. It's like the motion janks up the thing.
Yeah, it makes zero sense. Like, it's like, do they not have the mic point even?
Done.
Right. It's like the basics are really lacking. Now, what they do on moving the 2-eye, moving the nose is good here.
Yeah, it's really good. Really good pass off to Williams. And Williams' best thing is, we said how reaching a 2-eye is tough, but some of his best reps have been reaching the 2-eye or reaching the nose.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's not great. And then Forsyth is expecting this to hit up his butt, so he does okay, but then Walker's forced to bounce out because, guess what? There's an unblocked mic. And then Forsyth looks like an idiot, even though he did a fine job there. So, yeah, that's not great.
Mm-hmm.
Early in the game, though, so let's see how they got on. This is, by the way, the first quarter where they were aiming, or the first half where they're aiming to wear them down. So this is a 1st and 10. I hate this play. How do you watch the 49ers and how they play run defense in 2-high and say this is the play? This is pathetic.
This is him really eager to get his runs on tape. Like that's what it is. And it's not necessarily...
You think? It's like the wear down run?
I mean, I think the issue is, how is JSN being coached?
JSN right now, whenever he's in the slot, like here, and in like a tight split, particularly where it's time to block the nickel, he's not the guy. Like, he shouldn't be playing.
You can see how the loose 5 makes it difficult for the receiver to block to crack or block down.
The loose 5
on a nickel or I'm sorry, the 9 technique right there.
Yeah.
Instead of being like in a 6 where he's stacking the tight end.
Right. You
can see how that throws the angle off for a receiver. And that kind of allows the nickel to fold in to get gapped out from 2-high. Okay. I mean, running duo against 2-high defense is not a bad idea on paper.
No, but again, what's the most important gap on duo? The C gap, because you're pressing here, and then if you don't take care of that, you'll get a run through. If you take care of that, you'll be able to press and bounce. But it's just how you... And why I say against the 49ers style of defense is the most common way of these teams playing the 2-high is they play gapped out still, and they just fold the nickel in. And they play A gap and B gap, which is something Griff's twitched about.
To contrast, the Seahawks do not fit the run this way on defense, just to give you an idea. This is another. It's how they did it last year, right? Yeah. But that's not how they do it this year.
So you have to have a plan for this guy coming in unblocked. Now, what you might do is you might bubble the slot out to at least hold this guy slightly. Oh.
Well, wait, though. Are you going to bubble on under center, though?
No, you're not. Well, you could. At least occupy him. Do something.
You could.
Oh, what's the next play? They
That
bubble
was,
out the slot.
yep, you're
The very
absolutely
next
right.
play, they hold the nickel slightly. Walker has to make him miss, which isn't great. It's still not the best play call against this type of look, but at least you're doing a bit more.
I mean, if Walker can handle that though, and he should be able to, like, to me, this got me excited about Walker. Instead of banging that up, the fact that he feels that, because he understands how the 49ers are defending them.
Yeah, he's just been dropped by that nickel, so he knows it's coming through.
Yeah. And that's an insane jump cut, dude.
Yeah. So I just don't understand, like, what this is great. Like, why not
Yeah.
understand that? I mean, they surely do, and maybe it is about wearing them down. And how many yards did they get on it? None. But anyway, it just seems so. Like, yes, it's hard running the ball in the NFL, but try and make it easy on yourself. And there's examples in this game of them making that. I've got a good run section, but some of these runs are like the play calls kind of dead on arrival against this style of defense. It's like they hadn't. I know it's a short week, but the 49ers just pantsed them basically, and then had layers of play calls that continued to cause issues. So here, this is a Mike blitz on the 49ers to get into bare spacing, and they just get knocked back at the line, and there's nowhere really. It's remarkable Walker got yardage. I think the impact of this also, Griff, is as a running back, this affects your confidence in what you can press and what's there. And it's, an OC talking about wearing down them in the first half. It will wear down your running back getting hit in holes like this and having to just juke around to stay alive. Because in an ideal world, right, you press this here and then you cut it back off this C-gap crease, right, or here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this hitting front side shows what a car crash.
Right. You want inside zone bending back. You don't want it hitting front side usually.
Yeah, and they just clearly don't expect that 2-eye to move. It's also Haynes and Forsyth, so a different combination at right guard and right tackle. Or a different guy at right guard, obviously.
Yep, and that is a cool run blitz. That is very cool. It's a great way for them to solve problems with their existing personnel. But
keep the backers clean.
Yep.
But yeah.
That's an insane jump cut from Walker again, man.
Again, insane. Charbonnet's tackled for loss there, I imagine.
Walker, who's that X-Men? The guy, remember that X-Men movie where the guy's like teleporting inside the White House?
I don't know. I don't really remember my childhood.
The blue guy with the tail. Ken Walker's the blue guy with the tail.
Great. So 1st and 10 run. What do we think of this one? All right, it looks dead on arrival to me. Like this
Thank
is
you, OG3.
Again, Griff. Now we've got a 6 technique, right? JSN in the slot. I'd rather play Jake Bobo or someone who can block there because this just happens. And again, coaching wise, the detail's not there.
That's so rough. That's so rough.
It's pathetic. Why is he climbing to the second level?
So,
they just got their asses kicked.
I mean, so remember Mike McDaniel in that one? It wasn't a clinic. It was like some media coverage of the 49ers.
Right.
And Mike McDaniel was like, you get what you emphasize with these guys. We just emphasize and emphasize and emphasize. We make them love run blocking. And these are the millennial, cool kid coaches that are pulling, classic, like hard ass, getting their, 20 something receivers to buy into the run game.
Yeah.
So you look at this and you have to just think, well, it's probably something in the way it's being communicated to them.
Right. Mike McDonald's physical football team that he outlined is not being transferred for whatever reason to the wide receiver position.
And like the other thing, like Grubb and Huff, they have not lived in the under center world. They're a finesse run team at UW, and they're good at it. They were good at it. They part of the problem for them right now is personnel. So, but I the takes no talent stuff. I think at the very least we can say, in spite of the personnel issue with the O-line, the right emphasis doesn't seem to be there. I think we can say that much. So whatever they are emphasizing, they're getting, and I think that demonstrates that they're not emphasizing enough.
Because the idea of this play, Griff, is really how we've seen it play out before, and this was a cool preseason run that they had, was this guy goes here, then we crease up the C gap, but if we need, we can cut it back here. But the problem for Walker is, okay, it's a tough block for Barner. There's not much here with how they've moved, but you would ideally press up the butt here and of Haynes, and you'd still be okay. But this guy coming in unblocked with like JSN not even getting a hand on him is not great. And if JSN, right, his skill set, how he's being targeted generally screams slot receiver, but the way for him to get on the field over him and Noah Fant is for him to be able to dig out guys in the run game like this. That's how the most valuable slots make their money. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Cooper Kupp. It's not really fair to look at the Rams receivers, but at the same time, the reason they can live in 3 wide receiver sets for like 95% plus of the snaps is, well, when they're healthy, that is because their receivers block like 1.5 receivers. Like they block like half a tight end. And so when they reduce down, they have the ability to run the two-way goes and all the cool choice routes and all that shenanigans. But they can also block someone. And this is tough. It happens fast. But from an awareness perspective, they've really tipped what's happening here. This guy's posture screams blitz. And you'll notice on the cadence, if he's reducing down, it is very likely that this guy who's staring at the tight end here is blitzing too. So, and JSN even identifies it. He points out the blitzer. So he knew that was happening. He's just not there. And this is so lame. That's like playing touch. So I would play Jake Bobo more often.
Yeah.
Or, maybe the staff have seen he can't block either, but you have to find a solution to stuff like that because it's on tape now. That's the other thing as well. They haven't run the ball much. Now they're having some of these run game issues. Best believe teams are going to try and get at them.
Yeah.
This is the same play, but same blitz, same issue. This time it's unblocked because the tight ends are worried about Bosa, but it gets him another tackle for loss. Well, it's not a tackle for loss, is it? But anyway, crap. I also think, I know they're trying to run the ball more, but I don't know, this seems quite bait to me and I wonder what the time was on the clock, but this is hold on, Griff, so this is a corner, this is a corner, this is the linebacker, this is the safety, this is a linebacker, this is a linebacker. So they've caught them in base in 12 personnel and a running back, and there's the tight ends. So it's zone. So at this point here, and Seattle's usually good at this, so I don't want to over critique one play, but at this point here, we have a linebacker on our slot. Do we have a better run than something that the fact that he's over on this side, that screams they're doing that for a run defense purpose, but also maybe blitzing Like there was an opportunity here which they missed. I mean,
Yeah.
they even run the bubble out here, so maybe Geno could have done a better job, but the corner is pressed. But you can see after the shift, Warner's telling this linebacker that he has this B-gap type area / a run fit.
Mm-hmm.
And the back is held by this B-gap. So that was the opening. So maybe that's a Geno play as well.
Now,
where there's a lot going on.
Do you think that would be a pre-snap RPO, not a true RPO, just because?
Yeah, I think all of this stuff here is packaged where, and it's less. It would be less effective, right, Griff? Because the back's on this side, so Geno's not able to ride and read. He would have to, and it's also to his left. He would have to physically turn his body, which would give this backer the opportunity to jump the route, which is probably why he didn't throw the bubble in the first place. If the back's on this side, then suddenly it becomes more viable.
Mm-hmm.
Or in the pistol, Griff.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. This is another issue. We see this time and time again against the 49ers. I'm actually kind of sick of it. Like, doesn't matter who's playing edge, but they just the edge will condense down, strike the tight end, shed the block, and make the tackle happen so often.
Yeah.
I don't really know what you do about that other than have constraints.
Yeah, but you also have a better blocking tight end there. I mean, Will Disley took care of business right there.
Yeah, Disley would do that.
I mean, and the tragedy with there is that he couldn't stay on the field, but Will Disley was like very good at this sort of thing.
Yeah.
How many yards do they pick up here, though?
Yeah, it's probably an okay one.
This is where I appreciate Charbonnet. This is
because he can get behind his pads and knock someone over.
And he's just clean off the hip of the backside tackle. In this case, the right tackle, Forsyth.
Yeah,
it's very to the point, clean. Something Chris Carson was good at. That's what I was excited about with Charbonnet coming out of UCLA. I know you like him out of under center, and he is better at under center than I thought. But I also think in gun, this is something he also offers. Because in inside zone, you want the ball to bend back like it does off of the backside tackle, ideally, or the tight end. In this case, didn't really work out that way. But
I hate this play. So 3rd and 3, this is totally unprepared, in my opinion, for how the 49ers are playing defense. This is clear as hell, man to man. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 guys to the short side. Mm-hmm. Very college. You have very clear man coverage contours.
Right. Because if it was zoned, it would the spacing would be abysmal, right? Curls.
Yeah, because who's your curl flat? If it's cover 3 zone, so post safety, who's your curl flat defender here? It's very, very difficult.
The will would at least
this
be
guy, and you've tasked him with being in the B. But he's lined up like he's in the A because he's actually man on the running back.
Now, if you want to sell this, don't have Chenault be the X.
Have DK.
Yeah.
This is a play to put DK over there.
Right.
I mean, what are they trying to achieve with this?
Like, if you want a different look, put DK at X. You know.
Yeah, because if you put DK here, they'll probably come out in too high.
Yeah, or you know
double.
What? You know what? Put Bobo at X and make them think about it because they know Bobo can run.
He can catch a fade.
Yeah, that's on tape. The whole league that has Seahawks on their schedule, they know if Bobo is isolated,
right,
you got to take him seriously. It doesn't mean you got to panic, but you have to take him seriously, right?
This is what they end up doing is basically like run fit practice for the defense. They have the extra guy.
That's a great.
What the hell is Walker supposed to do? And this is because you don't trust your slot to block. You have this attached thing, which Geno's decision not to throw the bubble here is probably smart, given that guy has the leverage, and DK ends up like I don't know. He knows the ball's not going there. But it's just Poor Walker trying to create on 3rd and 3.
So it's the details.
Yeah. I mean,
I think the
really
coaching
should he
details
just press here and then try cut possibly?
and
But
being too
like
willing
he's
to
sick of this guy just screaming through the C gap, so he tries to make him miss.
see
And
why
it just
not?
doesn't work.
Why not? I wish the NFL would glance RPO more.
Well,
If your nickel's gonna fold,
this is a play that they did good, which is like what's annoying about it to me is 1 second, let me find it. Yeah, what's annoying about this to me is they called this damn play like on the same drive earlier. Why didn't they dress the run up like this? So it's not the same because it's the same formation, but they get zone, right? So as you can see, here's our or maybe they blitz. Okay, yeah, they blitz. So Griff, this is the type of play to run, right? Get rid of the... I don't understand why this wasn't the move on that crucial 3rd and 3. Because if we bump the backer over like was the case, expand him out, that is a more viable C gap for our guy to... Right?
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So they have it in the thing. It's just weird ass play in that moment.
Wait. Who was isolated on this one? DK. Okay.
Yeah, I mean DK's isolated, so it's better. They may have also got into that 3rd and 3 up tempo, which that may be why it sucked. Like they probably don't carry. Maybe they don't carry this in their up tempo thing. I don't know.
I wonder why Grubb has moved away from just GT counter being his gun run, his constraint run, where he wants to kill you and he wants to punish you for being it too high. Like, well, why not counter?
Well, he was telling to me that he said in that press conference that he liked their zone concepts more. He liked how they're blocking them. And that was after I had been like, I'm not sure how they're comboing and blocking zone. So I didn't see the same thing, really. I mean, he obviously knows a lot more than me, but...
Yeah, I'm sure it's what they're seeing in practice,
This, I thought, was the problem of... This is your best blocking tight end. Bosa's one-on-one's just always going to be tough. But I also thought Charbonnet could have just hit this hard. But is it duo? I think it's gun duo, right?
This might be the elusive gun duo, yeah.
Where he's...
Everyone on the front side of the play is working back.
Right, and Bosa just does some good stuff.
Except for the tight end, of course.
Because if it's funny though, because if it was inside zone, you could, right? Kind of. No, not really. Anyway.
Well, do you think Charbonnet should have been into the C gap sooner?
Yeah, I think he needs to be more decisive. I don't like him in gun duo.
No.
Not that I've seen loads of that, but...
Now, Walker and gun duo will be interesting because he wants to bounce stuff front side anyway, right?
Right. So...
That's something I want to see out of gun with him. But
and then this play, I think they get mixed up on what they're in. Because you wouldn't pin, pull, and have the tight end go across, would you? Like, it's just a broken play. Like, what the fuck?
Whoa, wait a second. Is it... Oh, you've got two pullers. That's interesting. No,
yeah, you've got pin pull on the interior with the tight end going back for Bosa.
I wonder, is that a double pin and fold zone adjustment with slice action, so like split zone, but no, it's not.
Yeah, but what ends up happening is they
Why
leave
does
the
yeah?
3 technique unblocked into Charbonnet,
What
which
is
is
what is Cross doing? Because
Cross thinks this guy's blocked by Tomlinson and he's going up here, and then
no, that's not.
the whole thing's broken.
It's
These guys seem to think it's pin pull, while Tross thinks it's. Does he think the tight end's here? Does he think the tight end's blocking out here, and then he can fold up here, and we're creasing up here?
it still just makes no sense why they wouldn't block the 3 technique.
Yeah. So guys, when I tweet stuff about like I can't believe this happens at the NFL level, this is the type of stuff I'm talking about. People make mistakes, but we've seen quite a few, and Thursday night football, prime time.
And guys, Matty's had it.
I'm what?
Matty's had it. You've had it up to here.
I've had it up to here. I just want to see some nice runs. Now, Griff.
I mean, it is cool design. I mean, pin pull with slice action out of gun is cool on paper. Like, that sounds awesome. Like,
it's not very cool, even the 3 technique unblocked to rock your running back.
Right. So they are not bridging theory and practice here at all right now. But
was Fan supposed to trap the 3?
Oh, good God, dude! I can't imagine. Well, so wait, who handles the backside end then?
Yeah, I don't.
It would be
Geno.
Yeah, there you go. No, it would have to be Fan. I think it just gets blocked so poorly.
So there's other weird things going on with the O-line as well, Griff. So open field blocking, like on screens, the rules again are just not there. So this Walker play in live, I thought Warner had beat a double team. Just watch this. I love their mid screen, by the way. Like the idea of a mid screen, don't see it that often in the NFL.
Yeah, that's cool.
But what on earth is this? Why is Tomlinson going over here?
You've got an alley.
They literally had
the body. Plus, it's an opportunity to hit their best player. Like, Lakin should be like, oh, where's Fred? I want to go smack Fred Warner because this is an opportunity where I can actually leverage an advantage over him. I'm 330, he's 230. Let him feel me.
This is a 6-man box, and we're able, with how they rush, we get 3 out. So surely...
forming 4 gaps, 2 players for 4 gaps, right?
Yeah. So it should be, with how Walker's running the mid-screen, it should be bang, bang, bang. It's such an interesting decision from Tomlinson to... I don't know why he just runs past... I don't know what... And I don't want to nitpick an individual play. This to me is, or an individual player even. This to me is indicative. It indicates that there's a problem with the details being coached to the offensive line.
What do you think? What do you think Grubb's and the entire coaching staff reaction that's up in the sky booth as they're watching that unfold? They're probably their eyes are probably open wide, salivating, like, "Oh, this is perfect. It's working out perfectly."
Right. So you might think, "Oh, it's a one-off play call. They can block a screen." I do not understand what they're being coached in the open field. They don't know what they're doing. What is... I guess they try and double team this time Warner, but it feels like a wasted opportunity again. And it's obviously a really tough look for Bradford, who just trips over, which will happen. He looks knackered as well. All that up-tempo. Anyway, so, yeah, there's a few things with the offensive line. They had some good runs.
Home game, so short week, right? Short week, and then them trying a new mode of offense on a short week also, right?
Yeah, which isn't fair on the offensive line. We've said all of this, like, if you've just tuned in and you think we're being unfair, we've given a lot of caveats and context and tried to be balanced on this. It's so damn easy, as I like swallow my mic, it's so damn easy to be like, oh, the offensive line sucks. And they're not doing great, but also they've been put in some terrible positions. And, this game is not that fair on them in terms of, oh, guess what? We're suddenly going to run the ball on a very unique style of defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck. I like this stuff, Griff.
Yeah, the
little
draw.
Stick or out draw.
Yeah,
that was effective.
Stick draw. That's pretty cool.
They also ran it here, but it ended up being QB draw because Walker went to pick up the free edge blitzer. But again, good. They ended up getting a hold there, which less good.
And I like that because it's again, it's balance. Because it's your quick game indicators and you're making the defense think twice.
This is gorgeous. We've seen it before, but I like that. This is the best example of stick draw, where again, what is difficult for this defense when they're in too high is trips with the back here and the three receivers here, because this guy has a decision to make. Because if we're not going to stunt our front, this guy is responsible for the B gap, or even the A gap, depending on how you set your front, or two gap, like ball fit. But he's responsible for here and potentially really inside, and also simultaneously the number 3 receiver. So if you put a 3 receiver detached, there is space that you can read as a QB. And so if you watch Fred Warner here, you make him wrong. So he's held, he's expanding out with a stick route. That's enough. Look at our box count. Beautiful.
Those 2 steps. That's all you need.
Now, you can't build the whole plane out of stuff like this, but this is like intelligent run concepts that are in the offense. They're executed really well. Look at the offensive line. Great job. Good read from Geno. Good running from Charbonnet. Intelligent scheme winning stuff, which when you've seen how bad schematically some of that other stuff was for what the 49ers are doing, makes this just frustrating because they have it. Just call more the good plays. If only it were that simple. Obviously, the defense is allowed to make plays too, but you could look stupid if they blitzed here or did something else. But
the principle is if a climbing O lineman gets beat by a middle linebacker, then he gets beat. But at least be aiming for the right guy and take a good angle.
Thank you.
And that's how you know the coaching is doing its part, right?
Thank you.
So
Another good play here. And it's interesting to me that Grubb he had some good runs. Why didn't he call them more? Why did he go away from them? Like, we saw this run twice. The other time was a holding penalty where it's thrown to the RPO. Why didn't we see it more? Like, this is a great run call. So you have Metcalf as a fake tight end. Brilliant way of using his skill set in a different way. You have the tackle wrapping up here. And it's really nice.
It's a very cool front adjustment, and it's a pin and fold concept.
So basically, it's inside zone with the fold inside. So because they have the box count on you,
and you got the bubble action too, which is
so you get all these guys held. You get this guy folding in and then blocked, and it's daylight. It's really nice. This guy's fighting to stay front side in it because it could hit out the back door, and these guys are occupied by this. This is beautiful. This is a really good run concept. The stick draw thing, again, it feels slightly gimmicky, but at what point does a gimmick become creative?
I mean, this is principled because they're giving you a look where this would work.
Yeah.
So,
and by the way, they ran this front all the time. This isn't like a one-off front where you caught them in a bad look. This is their defense. So to call this one other time in the game is weird. It's weird.
Yeah, but I hear you on that. But I think his MO this game was I want to do lots of different things to give the offenses in the future something to think about. And I think that's the problem of cramming this much. He could have done this, he could have unfurled this to begin. And it makes you think about what was their plan to start the season, really. Like to start the season the way they did with the O-line they had is nuts, man. That's insane. Again, it's cool tactics, but what's the strategy? And I think that's something like, yeah, you lost when Pete walked out the door because he understood setting his OCs in the right direction, and they handle the details. But it's just, and it's again, like I'm not relitigating the firing, but I'm like, if it feels like, well, why is this so obvious? Well, because you had a head coach that had seen 4 decades of offense of evolution in the college and NFL game. He's seen so much trial and error. As much as people think he was behind the times, he knew what he was doing. And his role as a head coach with a defensive background was to make sure the OC was living in the right world of offense. And then again, he could do his thing from there on.
Yeah.
I think this is Grubb with a little bit of like, he's running the whole show really on offense. Also, he was away from DeBoer, and we know that DeBoer had a huge part of the game planning. So Grubb is really, I mean, he's learning on the job. He's got great ideas, but it needs to, fit together, right? So I'll be curious to see how, we talk about players responding from a bad week. I'll be curious to see how Grubb and Huff proceed from this point on. Because again, I think there are some good things here. I think they're on the brink of putting together cohesive, balanced, principled offense, even if that balance still means a high pass rate. The Falcons are a good defense to go up against because.
Whoa, hold on. We'll preview that in a second. Just real quick. Jason asked what's a fold. So Jason, why this is cool is the 49ers play a really wide end here, right? That's important in a second. But basically, we don't need to worry about these guys. Just ignore them. But the formation is creating that partly. Because otherwise that end would be here, okay? And then you'd have to worry about him. What that means is Cross has no one to worry about except this guy. So if we're just running normal inside zone, we'd kick out here. We'd probably get a double here. Griff, please correct me if I get wrong here. We'd try and climb up here. And then I'm going to try and climb up to this backer. And I've got to reach block this guy as a tackle. So if we're, as the offensive line, responsible for this guy and this guy as the left tackle and the left guard, would it not make more sense to do pin and fold to this guy while Walker can just bang up here rather than double? I've got to try and reach block of 3 technique from tackle, which that's impossible.
I will say.
And then climb up here. That's not going to happen. And so Walker would have to make this guy miss unblocked, or this guy makes the tackle for loss. So it's a very intelligent pin.
I don't know why the pin and fold adjustment of inside zone isn't more common at all levels of football. It's one of the most cost-effective little micro adjustments that you can build into the scheme. Like anytime there's a front side bubble, not anytime, but anytime there's a bubble on the front side of the play, as in like in the direction, the flow, the zone blocking is going, why wouldn't you do this? Especially when the second level backer is behind, as in horizontally, like he is here, he's stacking, he's in a 50 here, right? And he's the A-gap player. Like, why wouldn't you just always do this? I don't know.
I guess movement scares people.
Hey, Metal Dragon, I brought that up for a very specific reason. It's not about relitigating the firing. So I think you need to...
hey, Griff, do you want to... Griff, it's been a while. It's been a while.
It's constructive. No. I'm going to give...
It's been a while. You sure? Are you sure?
I'm going to give Metal Dragon the chance
to apologize.
No, he doesn't need to apologize, but just to maybe hear what we're saying. Not everything is about agenda and narrative. We're actually talking about real football here, and if you don't like that, then you can listen to another podcast. But I brought that up for a very specific reason. I gave my reasoning. If you don't like the reasoning, that's fine. Go find another podcast. But we talk about football here, not narratives.
Okay. Right. The Atlanta Falcons. Griff. Seahawks at home to... No, they're not. Seahawks on the road to the 4-2 Atlanta Falcons. They're good. They're a good team. Matt Ryan's their quarterback. That's crazy. The Falcons are a 3-point favorite. I'm going to take, Griff, in this game, Seahawks 28. No, Seahawks 31, Falcons 28. I actually think that's slightly high on Atlanta, Griff, because I feel that I think their offense, this is famous last words, and it does depend on a bit of health. Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, they're the same person. Let's be honest here. They're the same frustrating quarterback. He's not quite good enough, but he's a pocket passer. Hey, Kirk Cousins right now has the mobility of Matt Ryan. But, yeah, in terms of the other players, quarterback's quite important. But I don't think Atlanta has the type of offense that troubles Seattle. Like, it's very spread. They're kind of asking to get sim pressured. They're just asking for it. The receivers are like kind of not great. Like, I imagine Seattle play a lot of man. They don't have a run game which is the type which will cause Seattle problems. They don't get in personnel sets. They play like the same 3-4 guys all the time, which I think is an advantage for Seattle in terms of game planning, in terms of how they can get varied with their personnel groupings. Like, there's basically Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod, and the other dude who's the best one. They play 95% plus snaps each week. That's unheard of in the NFL. And Kyle Pitts' snaps have gone up crazy as well. Like, Pitts has mismatch potential, particularly with Rayshon Jenkins going to IR, which we haven't even spoke about. But I will be so disappointed if the Seahawks defense doesn't look better in this game. So disappointed. This is the game they should be doing good in. And yet I've still predicted them to give up 28 points. If they do that, I'll probably be slightly disappointed. And is that fair? Because we've seen Atlanta do bad things to other defenses. It might not be fair, but just where I feel the strengths of this defense are for Seattle is where they should show up in this game. And so if they don't, I'll be quite concerned. But anyway, Griff, I cut you off. And you were going to say about Atlanta's
I agree with everything you're saying. It's a matter of can they block it up, and because they don't run a lot of play action, it's going to be a lot of vertical and horizontal stretch over the middle in the drop back game. So that's what it's going to come down to. Can they bait Cousins into a pick with the sim pressures, like you're saying, getting a hook dropper where he doesn't expect it? But it's going to be gashing guys in that 10 to 20 yard area in between the numbers all game long. With Woolen out, that said, they might run some Drake London isolation outside. Is
Woolen actually out?
I don't know.
If Woolen's out, that does change my analysis slightly, because
Trey Brown,
they have one too many mismatch dudes. Like Drake London and Kyle Pitts are such big presences that you need Woolen.
Yeah, I think offensively, the Seahawks can match their scoring output, at least within one score. It's probably will be the turnover battle. Who gets the extra possession.
Atlanta's defense sucks, right? Like, they're not good. If Seattle doesn't move the ball well, if Geno looks a bit off again, if the offensive line struggles, there's all like big, oh God, this isn't good. Yeah. And 4 games lost in a row would be like, you're going to find out about this team.
I wonder, looking at the schedule, the next 4 games, I think they go 2-2. I think they beat the Falcons by a hair, and I think they beat
one of the other teams.
I'm trying to remember. There's the Bills, man. I was looking at it.
Bills, Rams, 49ers at the end, and then
I think they beat the Falcons and the Rams. The Bills, I'll say, though, they're a sneaky team they could actually go toe-to-toe with, just matchup-wise. I'm not saying I would bet on the Seahawks winning, but
With how the Bills are running the ball right now,
good point.
with QB run.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess Daniel Jones. Yeah. I don't
Daniel
know.
Jones, Josh Allen, potato.
Oh my god.
Okay.
I'm just trying to.
So what's your? Come on now. You're buying time. You're killing time. Score prediction.
What is my score prediction? I'm going to go 28-26 Seahawks.
You're scum. You always. I know what you're doing. You're not smart. You're slick, but you're not smart.
Wait. How am I trying to be smart?
Yeah, Mon Jumbo knows. People have noticed what's going on with these predictions, and I've noticed too.
I think it's going to be another game where it just doesn't go exactly the way we think it should. It'll be headed that direction, and just neither team will like put the stamp on the game.
I think it's going to be a complete mess.
You think so?
Yeah, like some special teams just diarrhea.
Oh, God, dude. The only thing, all right, the only thing I want this game, like, forget about the too high run defense, forget about linebackers stacking their zones. The only thing I want this game, I want to be able to watch the game and let the results be what they will without there being a turnover inside the 49-yard line and there not being some stupid-ass safety or special teams fiasco. Just like
a good, clean football game where there's nice discipline and they protect the ball, take care of the football, and take the ball away, as African Achilles mentions.
Really, this game is going to come down to how sharp is Kirk Cousins and how sharp is Geno Smith pass rush. So
I think it will come down to whichever team scores the most points.
Well, hey, that is a good marker historically. So you are right there.
Yep. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you on.
Also, JSN pops off this game.
No. More Bobo. This is the game where the coaching staff make playing time decisions and Jake Bobo plays like 30-40% of snaps, has, probably like 10 catches, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, that type of thing. Yeah. All right.
Hit it.
Thanks, everybody. We'll be back Sunday night with a post-game show where hopefully the Seahawks have snapped their losing streak. They'll be joint first place in the NFC West. Everything will look rosy and we'll all be happy. All right. Yeah. Like the video. Comment down below. It does make a difference. Thank you so much for your lovely comments. Absolutely lovely people. We've got some good overloaders.
Metal Dragon, we're still friends.
That's you know what? That's big.
Hit it, Matty.
Follow Griff at @CMikeSpinMove. Follow me at Matty F Brown. Follow the pod at Seattle Overload. I'm about to hit it so hard.
Matty.